Hi, my name is Tiffany and welcome to my channel. So this is going to be like the mid-year wrap-up because if you can believe it, 6 months of the year are already gone. Now, I actually only have 11 books, but this is better than my recent average, like a yearly average, and 7 of them have been in June alone, which is something I find astounding and really points to how much I haven't prioritized reading as an adult and how a little reading every day can just accomplish quite a bit. I will try to keep my summary and comment to each book to about a sentence each for time's sake, so if either is lacking, you know why. These are just going to be like, didn't like, very quick. I'm going to try and keep this under 10 minutes, so let's jump right into it. The first 2 books I read were both in January and were both on my phone. The first book I read was The Game by Terry Schott. This was a 3-star science fiction. This book is the first in a series called The Game is Life, where life we know is a video game played by children and teens in another world in order to teach life skills. Writing's okay, it's an easy, quick, mildly entertaining read, and I might continue on in this series. I do recommend if it sounds like your thing, but skip if you're on the fence, there are better. The second book was The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. Now I did read a translation because I don't speak French. This was a classic. It's a high 4-star with the possibility of turning into a 5-star for me. If you don't already know, this book is about a guy who lives in an opera house and causes mayhem for people who work there because of his love for one of the employees. Wow, that sounds terrible. But most people know this story. I hope. I did love everything about this book, basically. I completely recommend. Hands down recommend everyone reads it. Now, the next 2 books I finished were not until May because I finished my job, I moved, and I waited until I felt fairly set up because I was so busy and just didn't read for a few months at all, which is really sad. But the first book I finished in May is called The Soul of Octopus by Simon Montgomery. This was 3 stars, technically science nonfiction, about the author and the time that the octopus in the Boston Aquarium and in the wild. It was okay, a bit disappointing because the author talked way too much about herself and not enough about the animals. I do have a full review that I'll link down below. If you like memoirs, I recommend. If not, skip. The second book I finished in May was Blood of the Earth, Battle for the World's Vanishing Oil Resources by Dilip, Hiro. This book was 3.5 stars for me. It is historical nonfiction. This is the history of oil, how it was found, countries and companies involved, even some of the alternatives and their histories from the beginning until 2006. I did like this book, even though it was very dense and slow reading. I learned a lot, though. I also have a full review that I'll link down below. If this topic interests you, I do recommend, but skip if academic writing is not your style. Now, all of the rest of the books I read in June when I decided to start BookTube, and I surpassed all of my own expectations this month. The first book I finished in June was Innumeracy by John Allen Paulos. This book was 3.5 stars for me, mathematical nonfiction. It is about the importance of math skills and where he sees a lack of general mathematical skills causing problems in society. I really liked this book. I like this nonfiction subgenre. I like that it was short and to the point. I like that he goes into reasons why people are enumerate and ways he sees to fix it instead of just throwing out statistics. I recommend. I have a full review that I will link down below. The second book I finished in June was called The Hidden Life of Trees, How They Feel, What They Feel, How They Communicate, Discoveries from the Secret World by Peter Wohllben. This is translated from German. It's ecological nonfiction. I gave it 4 stars. It's all about trees, and not just identification, but how they interact with each other, how they interact with their surrounding environments, both in forests, in urban plantations, things like that. I thought it was a lot of fun and was filled with a lot of surface facts, but you can go and look up the background science yourself if that interests you, with all of the references he gives in the back. I do recommend, and I'll link my full thoughts below. Now, books 3 and 4 go together. I don't have physical copies because I got them from the library. The first is Clockwork Angels, and the second is Clockwork Lives. Both are by Kevin J. Anderson. Now, there are no others in the Clockwork world right now. Clockwork Angels was a 3-star steampunk science fiction done in collaboration with the band Rush, who released an album under the same name, and the story is based on the lyrics of that album written by Neil Peart. It's a coming-of-age story, pretty generic, about a boy named Owen Hardy. It was fun, enjoyable, not terribly special. I preferred Clockwork Lives. I gave it 3.5 stars. The writing was better. I felt more connected to the main character, as she fills a journal with people's stories in order to receive her father's inheritance and her house. They're both a bit of fun, and I enjoyed the world he built. I do recommend if steampunk is your thing. Book number 5 was Crime Scene Investigation. This book, it has multiple authors. It was pulled together by Reader's Digest, and there's an introduction by Cyril H. Wecht. So this book was 3 stars for me because I'll probably never read it again, but it was interesting. It covers all people and steps that go into solving crimes. It's easily accessible, understandable, and well put together and well organized. I do recommend if learning about Western society-based criminal justice interests you, but I don't consider it a necessary read. Technically, my library puts it under young adult nonfiction. Book number 6 and 7 also go together, and I don't have them because I've already given them back to the library. I just wanted them out of my house. They are the final books I finished this month. There is a 3rd book in the series. I guess it's a trilogy, and it's the As the World Dies trilogy by Rhiannon Frater. But I will not be reading the 3rd book because I didn't like it. The first book, called The First Days, was a low 3-star, just enough to get me to read the 2nd book, called Fighting to Survive, which is a 2-star for me. These books start at the beginning of the zombie apocalypse and follow 2 women as they search for safety and build a new home in this world. So much potential was missed. I'm going to do a full review, so I won't say much other than I don't recommend them. And if you want to know why, keep an eye out for that review. I have already started another book, but will not finish it before the month is out, and that is an English translation of Faust, which is a legend originally written down. The legend came first, then was written down by a man named Johann Wolfgang von Goethe in German. I am reading a translation. I love this story and this legend, and watching it done live, and I'm hoping to like reading it as well. So far it's slow going. The only other books that I have planned for July, the first one is Rigor Mortis by Richard Harris. This book just came out this year, but misuse of science is something I'm really interested in because I work in biomedical research, and I'm hoping to do a review on this one, so keep an eye out for that. The only other book I have planned on reading is actually one of the few unread books on my shelf. This is called The Fever of 1721 by Stephen Koss. I just think it sounds interesting. It's about the smallpox in Boston pre-Revolutionary War. So I'm probably going to try and do a full review on that one. Okay, I'm going to try and keep this under 10 minutes, and right now it is. Thank you for watching, and if you want to keep up with what I'm reading, hit that subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!